Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Hairapy Sessions with Cindy Fumbata. I have another guest, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who I've been friends with for a number of years, Nqobile Msomi, joining me today, talking about her personal hair journey. And I'm super excited to have her on. Welcome, No?
Hi, everyone. Hi. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. How's lockdown treating you?
Oh man, we're just taking it one day at a time. One day at a time. I washed my hair today. I had enough time to wash my hair and dry it and base it and all those wonderful things. So at least we have more time, for things like that might have been rushed in the past. But going fine. One day at a time. How's it going for you?
Good. It's been very productive, and I love that it's giving me the opportunity to do things like this, things that I love, and experimenting a little bit with storytelling and chatting to people I admire. I love what you said about it being a time to slow down, and it's a great space to actually take stock. And obviously it's not the same for everyone. Not everyone is having that kind of experience and has the luxury to see it that way and experience it that way. But I think we are very fortunate to be able to do that. And I wonder what kinds of implications it'll actually have, particularly in the corporate world, and looking at how we do work and just construct workspaces and working hours and managing and looking at productivity. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Okay, so as you said, igama lami Nqobile Msomi. I grew up in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, so I grew up there. Then I moved to the Eastern Cape, and I've been living here now for 10 years. I come from a family of 5. I have a sister and a brother. That's me.
Awesome. In terms of your hair, another reason why I had asked you to be a guest on the mini-series, I've always loved your hair. One of the first things I noticed about you is your beautiful long locks. Can you tell us a little bit about how you describe your hair? Give us a few words that you'd use to describe your hair.
Thank you. I think I wanted dreadlocks for a long time. So it's been a beautiful few years with having them. And so the ways I would describe my hair is natural and easy. Very simple.
Can you unpack those terms for us? Natural, first of all, and easy. What do they mean to you?
Well, there's a lot I could say in terms of those descriptors, and obviously our hair isn't neutral. The history behind our hair isn't neutral. The socio-politics around our hair are not neutral. But in terms of describing my hair as easy and natural, by natural I mean it grows out my scalp this way, and by easy, sort of growing up, and this is my history and my experience, is there was always sort of connotations or discourses, narratives around like natural hair being undesirable, natural hair being hard to maintain. And I've actually found my journey to be very easy, and sort of the upkeep of my hair is quite easy. Looking after it, styling it, I experience it as quite easy. And in terms of lifestyle and appearance, I value easy, as it relates to hair, clothing, grooming, all sorts of things is quite important to me.
The messages that you may have received, in what ways did that affect you and how you perceived natural hair, and how did you go from hearing all of that to desiring it for yourself? Was it almost an act of rebellion? Was it always okay, this is what the world is saying, but this is what I've always believed? Or was there a transition between the two?
So it's hard to sort of access the way I thought then. And I wish I could do that. But in terms of, how I grew up and the messages, and obviously then I wasn't aware, I wasn't mindful of it, but looking at pictures, hearing stories from my mom, like I grew up and she used to, amagoda we say in isiZulu, which is like, I don't know how to explain amagoda, just like an easy home thing. And that's what I wore. It's what I wore to school and so forth. But then if I just remember around like late primary school years, so senior primary and early high school, I used to get up extra early, which is huge because I love my sleep, to not only like do my morning routine, but also get my hair right, moisturize it, comb it, get it looking slick and relaxed. And if I just relaxed it, it was easier to style than if it hadn't been relaxed for a while, so more time was put into that. And then I wish I could access when things started to change for me, but I started to build an awareness and a conscientization, and I found in high school, and I think many of us growing up in like what they call Model C schools have experienced this tension where our hair was heavily regulated and the types of hairstyles and what was considered neat and you don't call it professional in the school space, but just acceptable, was highly regulated for us. And so even though I was going through, and I remember I cut my hair because I wanted to go natural, and I can't really tell, I can't access what brought that about, but it was, and I wonder if it was resistance. I wonder if it was an unlearning process that started to happen where, I started to love me, and me, not individually, me amongst our people and what we are, what we represent. So I decided, then the transition started. Did
you internalize those messages, or was it there always a sense of actually what I believe, I value my hair as it is, regardless of what the messaging is?
So messaging is very important, and so in the school context, this is the messaging that I received. And I think, you asked, did I internalize it? I think to some, there were beauty standards I internalized, which is why I would get up so early just to do my hair. My goodness, I used to skip breakfast as well to do my hair. But there also was then like I said, unlearning of that, because then I did do the transition. But I think, if you look at my matric dance photos, is even though I had afro hair at that time and long afro hair, I got it styled and it was like straightened and curled. And I wonder why I chose to wear it that way rather than wearing it as a glorious afro as we see more and more people doing now, and people of like teenagers doing now in the school context. I wonder why that wasn't an option, or that wasn't a choice I made then.
You mentioning that, even though you wouldn't necessarily use the word professional in a school sense, but there's very clear ideas and images around what is appropriate and what is not in a school context, what is appropriate and professional and what is unprofessional within the professional context. And a few years ago, I actually wrote an article about afros and natural hair, particularly black natural hair, being seen as unprofessional. And there was this outrage about, when you did a Google search, if you Googled professional hairstyles, it was just filled with white people's hair. And if you did unprofessional, if you Googled unprofessional hairstyles, it was all natural hair. It was afros, it was dreadlocks, it was any kind of natural hair that you could find, particularly black people's natural hair.
So sometime during senior high school, they call it senior high school, the latter years of high school, I did the big chop, and the intention behind doing the big chop was to start letting my hair grow naturally without putting like harsh, relaxing chemicals in it. So I wore an afro for a few years, and that was hard. Cutting my hair was really hard. I remember being at the salon and, the hair came off, and I remember like a tear dropped, and I felt that I looked terrible. And I remember soon after that big chop, I didn't quite have the confidence to wear my hair like that for a while. So I did a masingili, braids, it's called in English. So I wore braids for a while, and then slowly as my hair began to grow, then I was wearing it as an afro, and then I committed to the dreadlock process, a few years, 2 years after, and that was straight after leaving school. In the first year that I left school was the first year I started my dreadlocks.
So when you're sitting in that chair and you're looking in the mirror, in those big mirrors, and you can see your hair just falling away as they're cutting it, and you mentioned that you started getting teary. I can relate to that so much, because and I'll touch on it later on in the series where I share my own journey, but when I shaved my head, my sister Nandi shaved it for me, and we were sitting in front of her bathroom mirror, and as the hair came off, I wasn't crying, but just the emotion behind seeing it drop. Can you talk about what that meant for you? What were you seeing? What were you experiencing as you were seeing your hair just drop?
I can remember feeling very emotional, very self-conscious. It was very different. It was something I wanted to do so badly, but the process, the beginning, initial steps in that process were so hard. Even when I did my dreadlocks, so they haven't, it's not like I did dreadlocks and they were like this instantly. Dreadlocks have that phase where they're standing up, and so same, I suppose, change and adjustment can be tricky to negotiate, and it was hard. I wish I could remember more, but obviously I think things that stand out were the feeling of shame afterwards, and not being able to wear my hair as it is after the chop, and feeling that I had to install braids until it grew up. those are interesting non-neutral things.
I know you've mentioned quite a bit that you can't exactly access the direct emotions of what you're going through then, but if you were to guess, or just to think about what you think informed that very strong emotion, because those are strong emotions. Shame is a very strong emotion, particularly when it has to do with hair. Why do you think you felt things like shame about wearing your hair in that way and then having to cover it up with braids? What do you think informed that?
I think it's definitely messaging, discourses that circulate around, I'm not only Black, but I'm a woman, things like our hair, certain body features are sensualized and objectivized. Beauty standards are reflected in hair. And I think in that moment, and it wasn't only one moment, because then I had to live it for a few months. I was parting with certain ideas around what is beautiful, if I'm beautiful. I'd spend hours investing in straight, silky hair. And then I was letting go of that. And it's almost like losing a body, like an arm or whatever, where, I don't know, where it's really sad to think that I felt that I wasn't, beautiful, acceptable, that my hair in that state wasn't great. And yes, we won't like all the hairstyles we wear over time, but I don't think it was a question of hairstyle preference. I think it was, you say messaging, and the discourses that are circulate around our hair as Black girls and women that I was wrestling with at the time.
I can completely relate to everything that you're saying, because again, when I shaved my head, there was the initial euphoria of, oh my gosh, I finally did it. I've been wanting to do this for months, and I finally mustered up the courage. And then it kind of just hit me, oh my gosh, it's gone. And there's no going back. And thinking, okay, how can I hide this for the next couple of months? Okay, I have head wraps, I can wear beanies, just think about the different ways I can hide it. But I think it's very interesting that I was very much aware that the shame, the feelings of inadequacy, the feelings of not feeling beautiful, all of that were just hidden behind the hair. All of those ideas were deeply entrenched in my mind before the hair came off, and now the shaving of the head just exposed what was there already. And to be confronted with that just makes all those emotions and all those ideas rush into your face, and you're just confronted with them. In what ways do you think hair is tied to and has implications for identity?
I think we've spoken to hair as identity throughout our chat today. I think it really is closely linked to identity. For me, my hair now, just as I engage more critically and more consciously in my adult years, very much represents who I am, very much represents my Africanness, my Blackness, and who I am. So I do think hair has meaning. Hair gives identity, expresses identity. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm going to end that there. I think that's the perfect place to end it. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Hairapy Sessions with Cindy. It's always lovely to chat to you, and especially because of the insight that you bring, and the depth and nuance with which you unpack terms and journeys. So I've really enjoyed that, and I hope people will enjoy hearing you as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for being interested in my little story. It's been lovely. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for watching another episode of Hairapy Sessions with Cindy. New episodes come out every Tuesday and Friday. This is a mini series which will only be available for the duration of lockdown. Beyond that, we will see. But I hope you have enjoyed some of the journeys that we've gone on with some of my friends. And I hope you see yourself mirrored in some of these conversations and thoughts. Please stay tuned. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, as well as subscribe. Thanks. Bye.